I want to be able to walk out my front door and within 5 to 10 minutes be able to go to dinner, get a haircut, and grab groceries. What are the most walkable neighborhoods in coastal Virginia? We're going to talk about that today. Most people, when they think walkable, they're thinking something that draws me outside, that makes me feel good. The ability to jump on a bike or go for a walk and grab something to eat. You think of traditional downtowns, places that feel good, that feel safe to go out for a walk. So coastal Virginia has a couple of great areas that we want to cover. But first, let's take a look at what makes an area walkable. Back before I got into real estate, I actually wanted to get into urban planning and architecture, and I read a guy called Steve Mouzon who teaches architecture out of the University of Miami. Steve has a great book called Original Green, where he goes into how was green architecture and design done before the age of the HVAC. And one of the things that he covers also is walkability, what makes a city sustainable. And one of the ways that we do that is it draws you out. It gets you out of your home, basically something before the car was invented. So cities like Rome, there's a reason people travel there because it's foot-centered. It's literally designed for either horseback or walking around, and it draws you out into the streets. Visualize this. You have a 4-lane, 5-lane, 6-lane intersection where the sidewalk is all the way up against where the road is. There is no speed limit, or the speed limit is maybe 50 miles an hour, versus this is a 2-lane road where the speed limit, it's hard to even go over 20 miles an hour because there's street parking. The distance between the sidewalk and the street is 10 feet or more. There's plenty of green space. There's trees planted in between them. You have old architecture where there's southern front porches on the front that help you engage with your neighbor. And at the end of the street, there's a Chipotle. So one of the great tools I think that can be available is a website called WalkScore. And I'm gonna look down here and kind of go through this now. So I've pulled up Norfolk. We're gonna talk about all of coastal Virginia, but if you go down, you type in Norfolk, it's gonna give you these walk scores. But so let's look at this, let's open this up, and you can see this entire thing. The darker the green, the more walkable, all the way to basically red where it's unwalkable. Now, this can be misleading because what the walk score is it's an algorithm, right? It's just taking inputs and pumping something out. There's something that the humanization of it that is not put into the algorithm. And I'll show you exactly what I mean by that here in a second. So let's take an area I know that is not very walkable, but shows a decent walk score, which is gonna be Military Circle. If I zoom in here, which is the intersection of Military and Virginia Beach Boulevard, you can see that there are areas of green here. This area right here, where this actual Military Circle is the mall, right? And so inside is obviously very walkable, but when we're talking about access to homes, so you have Glen Rocks, Poplar Hills, Crown Point here on the outside, Hollywood Homes and Maple Hall, the likelihood that you're going to exit out of this neighborhood, even though it's probably within a mile or less of all of this shopping, there's tons of shopping here in this area, is very, very low. So if I go into Google Maps and I zoom in on Military Circle, you'll see that there's tons of shopping. Juicy Crab, Applebee's, you've got Indian place here to eat, McDonald's, Saswati Thai cuisine actually is a pretty good place to eat. My favorite place, Chipotle, right? And so here's this neighborhood. Here's this neighborhood. So let's use Poplar Hall. The likelihood that you're gonna go out of this neighborhood. So let's look down the street, right? One, this street doesn't have any sidewalks. Not very walkable. Let's zoom back out. All right, if I go on to the neighborhood where the main entrance here is on Poplar Hall and I look right here, let's look right here on the street. Again, no sidewalks, not very walkable. Going from Poplar Hall all the way into Military Circle, again, there's lots of access here, but the likelihood that you're gonna walk from this neighborhood into the Military Circle shopping center, very, very low. So coming out of Poplar Hall, if we go out, we actually have to cross Virginia Beach Boulevard here, which is a really major intersection. You can kind of see what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lanes. There is a sidewalk along the side here, but it's not enjoyable, right? The speed limit on here is pretty quick. So let's actually take a look. Let's go to the street view. If I go to the street view, you can see the distance between this 3-lane, basically mile, this was the old highway, and the sidewalk. People are zooming up and down here. This is not gonna feel safe. You're not gonna want to go here with your kids. You're not gonna feel like they can safely traverse, like if they got one of those little bikes that they pedal with their feet. it's not going to feel safe to take them out there. So if I pop back over here to Poplar Halls, yes, you can see like there's green right here, but the likelihood that you're actually going to live here and then walk to the areas that it says you have the ability to is just super low. Let me show you one other place that I think it shows on the map, which is a high walkable area, but not necessarily fits that category in actual practicality. That area is called Hilltop. So it's out in Virginia Beach. It's probably some of the highest end shopping that's in the area. There are wonderful places to eat, and if you actually go and park there, yeah, you might walk from one section to the other, but even if you were to do that, if you were to go one section to another, you have to pass over these major intersections to get there, of which you're going to drive from one parking lot to the next. All right, so I have it up here on Walk Score, and you can see that there's a lot of green and a deep part of green here. And let's go back over to the Google Maps view to kind of show you exactly what I'm talking about. So here I have up on Google Maps, and you can kind of see that I'm zoomed in already on Hilltop, which is mostly the intersection of Laskin and First Colonial Road. And again, those are two major intersections, two major roads that people are not likely to walk across or go the crosswalk. They're probably gonna go, if you can see on the screen here, from this parking lot to this parking lot to this parking lot. And so if you wanted to hit, let's say, Trader Joe's to grab some groceries, pop across the street to, I think Michael's is right here to get some arts and crafts, and then head over here to Office Depot, and then for lunch you wanted to go over to, say, Taste or Butcher's Son, you're probably gonna hop in the car and drive to each one of those sections. You're not likely to walk that entire section. It's just not very walkable, even though it says on the Walk Score that it scores extremely high. So if I zoom in here and I put it on walking, you can see it's only a 16-minute walk, which is 0.8 miles from this little neighborhood. Again, if I zoom in, I can see it's not that far, but the likelihood that I'm going to do this because it's actually enjoyable, something I want to do, that to go to this major intersection, walk across where this part is, it's just not very enjoyable. So let me talk about a few neighborhoods that I think fit the bill totally for walkability, and a lot of locals choose to live in these areas specifically for that reason. This by no means is an exhaustive list, but this is my top 3. First up is going to be the Vibe District, Beach Borough, Old Beach, or Shadow Lawn. This is kind of several names for the same area, but there are a lot of people that move into these neighborhoods specifically because you can walk to the oceanfront, you can walk to the Vibe District, there's plenty to do, and lots of serviceable areas here. It actually has a very walkable score of 72, and I say this actually fits the bill for what locals actually engage with. You'll see here on the map, this entire area is green. This is kind of called Old Beach / Beach Borough / Shadow Lawn, and a lot of people pick this neighborhood specifically because the reason they can literally bike or walk nearly anywhere, and they don't have to travel via car for most of what they want to accomplish. Popping over to Google Maps here, we'll just dive into one of the neighborhoods that I know and love. So this is Shadow Lawn. You'll see a lot of little beachfront properties and cottages. You'll see tons, well, here you go. Here's a guy right now on a bike. In this Mediterranean Avenue, it goes directly into the Vibe District. So let's say I lived here on Delaware Avenue, or this was an area that I was considering, which I actually have a client that lives on this street that has lived there for several years. It is literally only a 13-minute walk, so half of that for a bike ride, down to a great place to eat, which is Hearth wood-fired cuisine, and craft beer. Number 2 on my list of favorites is going to be Ghent Square, or maybe even the Freemason area. This makes up of actually a lot of land, but this probably is the most sought out after area in all of Hampton Roads when it comes to walkability. You have an old city, a lot of mixed use, apartments, condos, million-dollar homes, row homes, townhouses, and the like. And just about anything that you could possibly imagine, you have access to. You can see that we are deep within the green here, and this reflects greatly because there's a ton of shopping and food options along 21st Street and Colley. And if you take a stroll on down either one of those on Google Maps, or maybe we have some B-roll that Sean has taken, you can see just how beautiful it is and how lovely and how many people are actually out enjoying the shopping and walking those neighborhoods. One of the big draws of that neighborhood also is that, like I said, a lot of the homes were built before 1930s, so you have a lot of old world architecture, and the sidewalks are substantially off of the street. There is a lot of street parking, which slows people down and makes it feel a little bit safer for families to go out and about. The third area here, which I think is highly underrated and probably even a lot of locals don't necessarily look at, are the neighborhoods that are directly surrounding downtown Portsmouth. Downtown Portsmouth is an old city. There is a wonderful place called the Beer Garden. It's one of my absolute favorite places to go eat. You have the Commodore there, which is one of the oldest and best movie theaters, in my opinion, of the area, and you also have the Children's Science Museum. If you can snag up a place right here in the downtown area, it is absolutely gorgeous. And again, high walkability. You actually see people out and about all the time. And those neighborhoods that are surrounding it, people seek those areas specifically for that reason. Hey, if you are looking at making a move in or out of the area or even relocating to a highly walkable neighborhood, you can get a hold of our team. We'd love to be your real estate and mortgage team of choice or resource. All of our information is down below and you can jump directly into our calendars with the link below in the description. Really, at the end of the day, if you are living in the area or maybe even you're moving from out of town and you want to get a good sense of what is going to fit you and your taste best, is to jot down a few of the areas that rank well on the walk score. So let's say that you put together 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of these. Take a short vacation here, or take the time to actually go and drive those areas and walk those areas to get a good sense of, is this really what I'm looking for, before you go out and rent or put down a deposit on a home. That way, you don't have any buyer's remorse and you can love living there for an incredibly long time. And please, by all means necessary, do not subscribe. We don't need any more subscribers. And please don't pick this video next because I'm sure you're probably not gonna like it.